Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and, most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. Whether it's this show, my live show, or my twice-a-week long-form podcast, I only speak to transportation professionals. That's right. We are dedicated to freight as a whole, and mainly we want to put information out there from the people who are actually in the day-to-day that you can apply, utilize, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. It's one of the many reasons why I probably fly this American flag behind me every single day as well. A, we're the greatest nation on earth. B, I'm living my American dream, and I want to help each and every one of you guys live your American dream as well. Got some headlines we're going to break down today. We're going to get up and running here. And before we do any of that, though, you guys are going to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub, vhubapp.com. Whether you're a broker, carrier, or a shipper alike, we all need access to trailers at some point in time. And the best part, ladies and gentlemen, about with what VHub has is you get paid to move these trailers. That is right. Paid on top of the revenue that you can get by loading these trailers out. You get money. And with what they're working on right now, you guys, this is a unique opportunity. If you're a small fleet, or like an owner op, and you want to get in the door with a larger shipper, but they require a drop trailer pool, you can do this. Like literally, they have 200 drive-ins out in Staunton, Wisconsin right now, needing to get over to Milton, Ontario. You can create a drop trailer pool with this stuff. Broker, same with you. If you're requiring that, where, you know, we are always told asset only, this is an opportunity for you to utilize these assets to create this drop trailer pool to add value to your customers in any freight market that you're in right now. And again, you get $600 to move these. And then if you really want to get all the way out to Moncton, by chance, you can grab another one in Milton, Ontario to go out to Moncton. You get 400 Canadian to do that. And then finally, Paragould, Arkansas to Orting, Washington. You get paid $15.50 US to move that. And that's on top of the revenue that you can get by loading that trailer out, you guys. So hit them up, vhubapp.com. My man, Xavier Campos, he's already in the audience. Do me a favor, you guys, hit him up. Let him know that the Freight Coach sent you. Sonny Sharma, good fucking Friday morning. He says, let's fucking go. Sonny's with Zems Inc. You guys, Zems is hiring right now. If you're out there, Zach Williams, good morning to you as well, you guys. Zach's with SPI Logistics, you guys. If you guys want to become a freight agent, take control of your financial future. If you've been affected by layoffs here recently, dude, you guys should look into becoming an independent agent. Use all of those skills. Come out and create your own so you aren't going to be laid off the next time when you get that next job. Because that's the reality is there's a lot of stuff that happen in business, and this is a great way to protect yourself. So become an independent agent. Join the team, you guys. Emmanuel, what's up? Good morning, he says. And then I've got Xavier already. Kat Aikens, good morning. She's with DDS Solutions. Happy Friday. Greg Martin says, raining in the mid-Atlantic. Let's be safe getting up and down these wet steps. That is very true, you guys. There is weather affecting a decent portion of the country. And as always, you guys, no truckload is worth a human life. All right. So take that into consideration as you're quoting stuff out there and running through some stuff. No truckload is worth a human life. Lori O'Connell, good morning. Thanks for joining. Dude, Dennis Bear Everett back in the house. What is up, Dennis? It's been a minute since I've seen you jump in here. Dennis has a reefer trailer, you guys. Get out there, get in some freight. He's out of South Dakota. Yeah. So anyways, Friday freight tip is what I wanted to bring up today. And, you know, again, you guys, we talk about real life situations that you're going to come across in brokerage and in the industry in general. And what can you do in those moments? Because again, not everybody has had situations happen before. And, you know, in this one comes to mind about having a driver go MIA. You know, we can't find the product. It's a hot shipment as well. It's high value freight. And what do you do in those moments? You know, again, like for me, this is always the benefit of having a driver on tracking. But what if the driver goes off tracking? What if they shut their GPS off? Whatever that looks like. You know, instantly it's your mind goes to the worst place in these situations. I've personally had truckloads stolen before. It is not fun, but anytime that you can go back and look at it, it's like, all right, how could I avoid a lot of these situations? And again, it's always about having detailed conversations with people. But for me personally, getting not every shipper will write down license plate numbers and stuff, but especially if it's high value freight, you guys know what I'm talking about here. There has to be some steps to follow. So for me, I always like having pictures of the product after it's loaded. Now I know some facilities don't allow you to do this, but again, I want to see this information that's on there. And then furthermore, what's your action plan if this doesn't happen? For me, it's generally you got to find a recovery driver for this situation, especially if because I've had it where the dispatcher they'll send you a picture of where the truck could be on a map, but it's always getting boots on the ground and getting somebody over there. It's always going to be worth the money to do that in those instances. And finding that freight, especially if it's reefer freight, we got to make sure that that's protected because we got to get that back to the shipper as fast as possible. And these are those situations where having an SOP for this in particular is going to be very key, because again, if you've never been through this or if you've never had to file a claim before, you need to know how to do this stuff, you guys, because these are those moments that solidify your relationships with customers and coming to a solution, coming to a resolution, and getting to know, because like if the shipment's stolen, we got to know. We have to know. Let's get ahead of it. Let's get the police report filed. Let's get insurance involved. All of that stuff. But say the driver just abandons the truck. I've had that happen as well, where the truck got abandoned, and again, it took a while, but we found it. And we paid another driver. We explained to that other driver what was going on prior, and they were more than fine because we were going to pay them no matter what to go out and check it out again, boots on the ground, and find it. And finding that freight and bringing it back, because again, you're looking at it as, well, what if it cost me $500? Well, what if it costs you an account? What if it costs you an insurance claim? So I think in those moments, it's having a plan in place and thinking long term with a lot of this stuff is gonna help alleviate a lot of these situations, because again, it's not fun, but it's part of the business, you guys. It's part of it. And again, what can you do beforehand? Because a lot of the situations we find ourselves in is because we're rushing through the transaction, right? We are rushing through the transaction. We are just trying to get it booked. We're trying to just put it on and go from that. We miss a lot of red flags. And again, this doesn't solve all your problems, but this is the point about having in-depth conversations on the front end. When you hear me say, take a couple minutes up front to save you on the back, these are the situations that I mean. It's because they're looking for the individual who clearly doesn't give a shit about the freight that they're moving. Not all the time, but most of the time. They're looking for those inconsistencies out there. So again, the more information you have, the more and more deterred somebody are going to get, because they want to deal with that quick grab. All right. That's what they want to deal with in a lot of these situations. So pay attention, have a plan in place. If it is your driver that goes MIA and stuff out there, contact another trucking company right away and offer to pay them to drive to the last known location and see where that is. Call local businesses in the area and see if somebody would be willing to go out there. Again, get in contact with their insurance company as well. They'll have VIN numbers on file. They'll have license plates on file. They'll have all of that on file, and then go directly out there and try and track down that vehicle. It's not fun, but it's a lot cheaper than having to replace a customer and everything else. And then furthermore, if the driver's ill or sick in that moment and we can go out there and find medical assistance to get that driver taken care of, again, a lot of things can happen. You guys have a plan in place. Let me see here. Larry Mullen says, good morning. Louie, what's up, brother? Good to see you out here. Nerf, good to see you, man. He said he haven't had a load stolen directly, but I did pick up a load that was paid with a stolen credit card, and the cops stopped my driver from leaving the shipper. Also, I did have a driver want to burn a facility down in Virginia for not being unloaded and reloaded in 15 minutes. So I'm not sure it would have been stolen eventually, but luckily we called him down and the cops showed up. Louis says, one broker called me in December and asked me to look for a truck and take the trailer to unload because they're banned. And Cat, there's a lot of crazy stuff that can happen out here. But again, you can get through it. You guys can have a plan in place and you can take care of a lot of this stuff. All right, first article we're going to break down. This one obviously broke overnight. Another round of layoffs happened. As always, you guys, this platform is designed to help others. And Coyote, it was about 200 employees. If you were affected by that, you guys DM me. I know people who watch my show that are hiring. If you want to, remain anonymous for whatever reason, DM me, get in contact with me. I will put you in contact with all the people you need to know to get back on your feet and really, because it's a shitty situation, you guys. It's a really shitty situation. And like I had literally just brought up yesterday, I don't want to say Freight Coach Adamas was in full effect, but I literally brought this up yesterday that it's not going to be the last round. There's going to be more of these, you guys. There's going to be more of these, unfortunately. And again, but with that being said, there are a lot of companies that are still hiring, and we can use social media for the good instead of like the negative and all the other bullshit that's out there. So we can use that for the good. So if you were affected by this, if you're listening to this, you want to remain anonymous, just shoot me a DM. All right. Shoot me a DM. I can get you in contact with people right away. And yeah, so let's dive into this article. Obviously, it's from FreightWaves, and Coyote expected it was going to lay off 200 people. It's not immediately clear where the layoffs will occur. At the end of January, rumors spread that layoffs would be concentrated on their large enterprise operations teams, the staff who are dedicated to their largest shippers, and significantly lower truckload volumes, which said dropped from 8,000 non-UPS loads a day to 2,000 meant operation teams were underutilized. But they spoke about a conflict between Coyote and UPS management regarding anonymously, which employees would be terminated, delaying until February 5th, 16th. The first list of Coyote's middle managers generated was adjusted and brought in to conform to UPS's diversity, equity, and inclusion mandate that underrepresented groups would not be disproportionately impacted by the cuts. Low performers across all divisions will be affected by Friday's cuts that was out there. And then it talked about how obviously UPS acquired Coyote for $1.8 billion. That was out there. And in 2020, Coyote laid off 55 people. The layoffs at Coyote continue from time of widespread reductions in headcount across the transportation industry. Obviously, Convoy did that. Talks about CH and Uber also laid off approximately 150 employees as well. It's a shitty situation, you guys. It's a shitty situation. It's market driven for the most part. And then this is what happens when people panic hire, they panic fire as well. But again, like I had mentioned yesterday, as long as you're a high performer, you're going to be just fine. If you have the mindset like, oh my gosh, this could never happen to me, you just never know. It sucks. But, again, a great way you can offset ever being laid off is work for yourself. Fuck it. It's pretty cool. I say this all the time, you guys. Like, it's not easy. Like, this shit's not easy growing your business from nothing. Like literally I started this out of my bedroom, and we're in this space right now, and you guys are going to see an even fucking cooler evolution here coming up because we're growing. You guys, we're making shit happen. And, I guess I'll always put it like this. I would rather take the stress of working for myself than take the stress of working for somebody else, because, not everywhere, but some places, man, you spend more time making sure your boss likes you than you do actually doing your fucking job out of fear of retribution and shit like that. So again, you guys, it's a great thing. And there's a, again, I'm an agent within SPI Logistics. All right. Yes, they are a sponsor of my show. I am a massive fan of what they do as a company, but you're literally running your own business. And if you've built a book of business for somebody else, you can sure as shit build one for yourself as well and do this on your own, you guys. And, it's a way to take control of it. If you've ever thought about doing this, if you've ever thought about starting your own company, don't wait, you guys. Act now. Now's your time. If you were laid off, this is your opportunity. This is your lease. This is your new lease on life. Yeah, you guys, that article was from FreightWaves, though. Let me see. I'm going to get caught up on some comments. Lori says, crazy what people do. I had a client set up an account for a well-known company, but email was different from their true site. We received 15 pallets of chairs and got them to the rightful owner. Yeah, Nerf says people getting creative with this stuff. And then vaccine mandates. Cat, we'll get to that here in a second. Pull the drivers out of Canada that stopped doing U.S. freight and is also affected. It's really messed up rates because I'm prospecting Canadian companies. Quite a few follow-ups. And how dare you steal my cut? That's funny. Dennis, Dennis, quit. No, Dennis, let's be honest. Your wife fires you twice a week. All right, that's probably what goes on. I wholeheartedly disagree with all forms of mandates, Kat. All right, 100% vehemently opposed to them at all fucking shapes or forms. All right, and I don't believe in them at all, and I will stand on that hill until the day I die. I don't believe in any government overreach of any fucking kind. Not when it's only self-fulfilling. You know, that's the thing. Is like we're at that point where one side argues for their own benefit, and then they're just completely fucking hypocritical when the other side argues their stance as well. I mean, we got to get back to fucking freedom, you guys. Plain and simple. We got to get back to that. We got to get back to respecting thy neighbor. We got to get back into understanding that my version of freedom might look different from your version of freedom, but you shouldn't lose your right by any step of the imagination to freedom because it doesn't align with the way that I think. It's irrelevant. That's how society works. That's how a healthy society works. Is we need to understand that we're going to have differences, but we should never want any form of fucking censorship, any form of government overreach to affect anyone. Because if you think it doesn't affect you now, it's going to affect you at some point in time. It's just a matter of time before the fucking pendulum swings, and that's it. So that's all I'm going to say on that is I'm against mandates of any fucking kind. All right. Let's see here. Let's go to the next article. This one is also from FreightWaves, and it is Uber Freight expects broad-based volume recession in 2023. Pretty close, Dennis. Come on. That's very accurate, and you know that. Net revocations of trucking authorities breaking records, it says. Last week, Uber Freight, issued a bearish first quarter update on global freight markets. Capacity exceeds demands in most modes of transportation, driving downward trends in rates. U.S. truckload said 2022 spot market recession will transition into a broad-based volume recession in 2023 as ebbing consumer spending begins to felt upstream and slows down inventory replenishment and ultimately manufacturing production. Mazen Danif, senior economist at Uber, said if you look at 2022, we saw a recession mostly limited to the spot market. More volume was going from spot to contract. I've already broke that down. Obviously, for those of you who are newer to the industry and seemingly those of you who have been in the industry for a very long time who can't grasp the concept of this is when the spot market is high, all right, in a specific year, you bid your contracted freight in that manner to get that for the following year. All right, so you can capture that. You go in a little bit less than that. And then from there, people accept tenders, all of them, because then what that happens is that causes the spot market rates to drop, which we saw last year. All right, so spot market rates fell, tender rejections fell, because why would you reject a tender that was paying $5 a mile for a spot market load that paid $3 a mile? You wouldn't do that. So then what happens in this whole thing called the freight cycle is all of last year that happened. People held those contracted rates firm. We were at the tail end of all the uncertainty from that shit that happened, and customers aren't going to put stuff out to bid at that time because there was a lot of uncertainty in the market. But there was enough data that came through that says if you're going to bid on freight in 2023, you better adjust your pricing. And voila, that's what happened. So contracted rates plummeted for this year, for the most part, not everywhere. I try not to use general statements, but anyways, contracted rates are down. All right. They are still above spot market rates. But what's going to happen now is as the market tips back up, which it is, because it always happens. No matter what, the market's going to start to increase. Why that's going to happen is people will understand that, hey, I can make more money out on the spot market. So I'm going to reject this tender. Then the load magically goes out to this mythical land called the spot market. And in this mythical land, you can name your price. All right. Because you're not held to a certain rate. So in the mythical spot market land, that's where rates start to rise. And then eventually what happens is the spot market returns to a high. That's how the cycle works, you guys. And that's what we saw in 2021. Spot market rates were up, then contracted rates went up, spot market goes down. Then now we're at the point where the contracted rates had to go down if you wanted to continue to lock in volume. And then what happens is people start rejecting tenders because they're sick of losing money or sick of breaking even. And then it all goes out to the spot market. Then the tide starts to turn that way. So at some point this year, like I've mentioned numerous times, you are going to see headlines that say tender rejections rising, tender rejections at all-time high. It's just part of it, you guys. But again, you got to find a fucking solution. All right. You have to find a solution to your customers. Data is great, you guys, but you need to look at multiple data sources out there. You need to study multiple data sources and you can formulate your opinion because a lot of this stuff is, I will say this, freight is predictably unpredictable. All right. That kind of sounds like an oxymoron because it kind of is. It's predictable in the sense that the market will always fluctuate in the way it does. The market shifts generally last anywhere from 18 to 24 months. Now, someone could be petty and say, this last one lasted 27 months, but that's beyond the point here, you guys. The fact of the matter is this. The markets are going to shift. Spot market rates rise, contracted rates fall. Spot markets rate rise, contracted rates fall. Tender rejections rise, tender rejections fall. All right. It's part of it. All right. So again, you need to find solutions for these things. And then it goes on to say shippers resigned to persistent volatility have increased adopted index-linked rates, long-term rates that float according to agreed-upon indexes. Demand is falling for several reasons, including a global shift back to services, and for U.S. specifically, nearshoring and reshoring trends diversify those needs. But the downturn won't last forever, of course. Uber Freight thinks that rock-bottom rates and harsh business environments for small carriers, just twisting the knife out there, could push enough capacity out of the industry to tighten the cycle in the second half of the year. So this show is actually geared towards keeping people in business. I don't want to twist the knife on anybody. And that's why we're going to continue to put information out there to help keeping you in business. So again, reassess your current lanes that you're running right now, you guys. There's very profitable freight that is moving that might just look a little bit different. You don't have to go 1,000 miles to make money. You might have some regional freight where, you know, all of these people who bid low reject those tenders. That's where you can get in the spot market and get a higher paying load and, you know, sleep in your bed more throughout the week. Again, it's reassessing the lanes that you're moving because, again, national averages, yes, they are real. It's a thing, but that's not every fucking lane in America. And I hate this holistic view of, oh, everything's fucked or everything's great. That's not the reality. The reality is there are some very high paying loads that are out there. It just might look different than what you're doing right now. And then furthermore, get in contact with, follow my man, Adam Wingfield. All right. He has a ton of great information out there for people to utilize in their business. He puts a ton of content out there as well. But again, I think that there is an opportunity for you to stay in business. There really is. You might have to refinance. You might have to look at it a different way, but you're already in it. Right? The hard part's already done. If you bought the truck and trailer, you have your authority, you're running, the hard part's already done because you started. All right. Now, what can you do? How can you adapt? How can you evolve to stay in business during this time? Because it's only in the grand scheme of things, a little bit longer before the market shifts back and you're going to start making money again. And then what can you do when that happens? Pay off your debts, stash cash. If you didn't have a maintenance fund, start a maintenance fund. If you didn't have a slush fund, start a slush fund for when the market shifts back, because it's very cyclical, you guys. This is going to happen time and time again. What you're learning right now can keep you prepared for when it happens again. All right. Because it's not all doom and gloom. It's not easy. It's very fucking challenging. It's never going to be easy though. Right. It's never. And if it is easy, it's not going to be easy for long. So what can you do when it is easy to stay in business and stay profitable in the downturns? That's the way that we have to look at this. We have to look at this from a whole 360 viewpoint as a whole. That article was from Uber Freight expects broad-based volume recession in 2023. Last one that we are going to talk about here is we already briefly touched on this one earlier this week. And let me see here. That's what I love about the show. I thought I was just supposed to land customers and move loads. Now I'm watching the news and seeing what's going on. Yeah, Kat, I wish it was as easy as cold call a customer and become a millionaire like a lot of these fucks out there on the internet try and make it sound. It's not. It's hard. It's challenging, but it can be done. It can be accomplished, and you can grow and you can succeed out there as a whole. I think we already talked about this, but again, it was talking about removing EPA duty truck rule, which was let me see. Fisher unveiled that that goes into effect next month. The rule aims to reduce certain pollutants from chemical vehicles. The Biden administration is saddling the trucking industry with an erroneous regulation that would jack up vehicle costs and hurt good-paying jobs. This is an aggressive rule which will hit mom and pop truck operations the hardest. Truckers are the backbone of the economy. They don't support it. They are the backbone of our economy. And Congress must stop this green agenda before it crushes America's trucking industry out there. Yeah, we talked about this. We brought it up, but again, we got to fucking. It's funny, the selective emissions rules and selective environmental things that administrations can care about, because there's a fucking disaster going on out in Ohio that seemingly doesn't qualify for FEMA or anything else. But anyways, that's beside the point. We're not here to talk about that today. But yeah, again, I think that we need to remove this. Again, I want to breathe cleaner air, just like everybody does. And I see the benefit of some of it, but if it restricts somebody from doing their business, again, it was just like the smog shit out in California. It was just passing the smog test. Then it switched into, you have to have it after a certain vehicle year. And then it's the what's next effect. I personally feel like if your truck is a 1999 and passes an emissions test, it should be equal to a 2018 that passes the exact same emissions test. I don't see how we should constrain anybody from doing the work at all. I really don't. Again, back to my earlier statement. I don't believe in government overreach at all. I don't. And I fucking hate seeing rules put in and laws potentially put in that would prohibit somebody from making a dollar. All right. Again, I understand having an emission standard out there. And if your vehicle passes said emission standard, why do we have to fucking pigeonhole it even more? All right. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. But anyways, you guys, that's the last article I'm going to break down. I will put the links to the articles over on the YouTube channel, The Freight Coach, as well as the Coffee with the Freight Coach audio only replay of this podcast, which I will upload here shortly to iTunes and Spotify. And as always, you guys, if you guys saw value in what you heard here today, share the show. If you guys are on those other platforms, hit subscribe, rank it. If you think I did 5-star effort, hit that 5-star, smash that motherfucker and get it out there to more and more people, you guys, because if you guys see value, your network's going to see value in this as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.